December 2024, Manchester Crown Court. Two men stand in the dock, waiting to hear their fate. The judge looks down at them. His voice is firm. Anthony Hunt, you are sentenced to 11 years and 3 months in prison. Dylan Robinson, you are sentenced to 12 years and 6 months in prison. Over 23 years combined. Gone. 2 lives destroyed in a single moment. But here's where this story gets absolutely devastating. Anthony Hunt is someone's brother. Dylan Robinson is someone's cousin. And that someone, the man they both trusted, the man they both worked for, the man who sat at the center of everything. His name is Thomas Hunt. Thomas Hunt ran a drug empire worth £1.8 million in just 6 months. He gave the orders. He collected the profits. He controlled everything from a house in Middleton, Greater Manchester. Where is Thomas Hunt today? Gone. Vanished. Fugitive. Free. His brother Anthony will spend the next decade in a prison cell. His cousin Dylan will miss years of his life he can never get back. And Thomas Hunt is somewhere warm, somewhere safe, probably drinking on a beach in Spain. How does someone use their own family as shields? How does the boss walk free while his brother goes to jail? How do you look at yourself in the mirror, knowing the people who loved you are in prison because of you? This is Thomas Hunt's story, the man who proved that in organized crime, blood means nothing when your freedom is on the line. Have you ever been betrayed by family? Someone you trusted completely? Who threw you under the bus to save themselves? Drop your location in the comments and hit that like button, because this story will show you just how far betrayal can go. Thomas Hunt was born on May 26, 1977, 48 years old, from Middleton, Greater Manchester, a family man with deep roots in the community. But behind closed doors, Thomas Hunt was something else entirely, a criminal mastermind running one of the most sophisticated drug operations Greater Manchester Police had ever seen. Between March and October 2024, Hunt directed what police called a highly structured, organized crime gang. His headquarters? An ordinary-looking house on Bonnie Brow Street in Middleton. The kind of house you'd walk past without a second glance. But inside that house, Hunt was running an empire. The scale of his operation was staggering. In just 6 months, his network turned over £1.8 million. Police would eventually seize 15 kilograms of cocaine, 1.8 kilograms of heroin, 6.4 kilograms of amphetamine, almost 7,000 ecstasy tablets, 75,000 pounds in cash, and 224 rounds of ammunition. This wasn't street corner dealing. This was industrial scale drug trafficking. But here's what made Thomas Hunt different from every other drug dealer who came before him. He learned from their mistakes. The previous generation of criminals used something called EncroChat. These were encrypted phones that cost thousands of pounds each. They were supposed to be completely secure. Drug dealers across Europe used them to send messages they believed no one could read. In 2020, police cracked EncroChat. Suddenly, they could read every message. Thousands of criminals were arrested. One of them was Jamie Rothwell, a major trafficker who got 43 years in prison. Another was James Close, his right-hand man, who got 36 years. Thomas Hunt watched all of this happen. He watched men who thought they were untouchable get destroyed by their own text messages. And he made a decision. No digital trail, no phones, no texts, no emails. Hunt went back to old-school methods. Everything was discussed face-to-face at his house on Bonnie Brow Street. Surveillance teams from Greater Manchester Police watched the pattern for months. Senior figures would arrive in the morning for briefings. They'd return in the evening for debriefs. It looked like legitimate business meetings, except the commodity being discussed was Class A drugs. And here's the genius and the cowardice of Thomas Hunt's operation. He never touched the drugs himself, never made deliveries, never visited the locations where deals took place. He stayed clean while everyone else took all the risks. He used his family as a shield, his own brother, his own cousin, the people who loved him, the people who trusted him. If you're feeling angry right now, keep watching, because what Thomas Hunt did to his family gets even worse. Anthony Hunt was Thomas's younger brother, 40 years old, the one who got his hands dirty while Thomas stayed clean. Anthony handled the drugs directly. He oversaw the cutting and pressing operations at a safe house on Moss Bank in Crumpsall. This was where the magic happened. High-purity cocaine would arrive. Workers would cut it with other substances to stretch the product and multiply the profits. Then they'd use pressing equipment to compress it into blocks, ready for street sale. Thomas Hunt was a frequent visitor to Moss Bank. Surveillance documented his presence, but he never touched the product. He just watched. He supervised. He made sure everything ran smoothly. Anthony did the actual work. His DNA was found on gloves at the Moss Bank address. When police finally raided, Anthony was arrested inside the drug factory, caught red-handed at the heart of the operation. Why did Anthony do it? Because Thomas was his brother. Because when your older brother asks for help, you help. Because family is supposed to protect each other. Anthony believed Thomas had his back. He was wrong. Dylan Robinson was Thomas's cousin, 33 years old, the second most important man in the entire operation. Dylan ran the logistics. He managed 2 storage units at a place called a Ford-store in Haywood. That's where they hid drugs and ammunition. Dylan orchestrated supply to other crime groups across the country. He directed couriers to Bristol, Carlisle, Glasgow, Newcastle, and Hampshire. Dylan was the operational brain. Thomas was the strategic mind, sitting safely at home. When police arrested Dylan at his house in Middleton, they found him with over 61,000 pounds in cash, cocaine, heroin, plus the keys to both storage units. Dylan did everything, while Thomas watched from the safety of Bonnie Brow Street. Why did Dylan do it? Family. Thomas was his cousin. They grew up together. Dylan thought they were building something together. He thought Thomas would protect him. He was wrong, too. The operation wasn't just Anthony and Dylan. Thomas Hunt exploited everyone around him. Lisa Prescott, 40 years old. She was the ex-partner of James Close, the man serving 36 years for the Rothwell organization. Her DNA was found on gloves with cocaine residue. Thomas Lockwood, 60 years old. The gang's product tester who checked the quality of drugs before distribution. Robert Earnshaw. He was the partner of Thomas Hunt's daughter. Even his own daughter's relationship was used to expand the criminal network. Robert ran a local drug dealership in Rochdale. Graham Sykes, 63, and Stanley Ainsley, 58, trusted couriers who moved drugs and cash across the country. Thomas Hunt used everyone. His brother, his cousin, his daughter's partner, his extended network. Everyone sacrificed. Everyone took risks. Everyone except Thomas. If you think family betrayal is the worst kind of betrayal, hit that like button right now. Because what Thomas Hunt did next proves just how far a coward will go to save himself. October 2024. Greater Manchester Police were ready to move. They'd spent months building the case. Surveillance teams had documented everything. Forensic experts had analyzed evidence. Financial investigators had traced the money. They had enough to take down the entire network. The raids were coordinated. Multiple locations hit simultaneously. The goal was to catch everyone before word could spread, before evidence could be destroyed, before anyone could run. Officers hit the Moss Bank safe house. They found 15 kilograms of cocaine, pressing equipment, packaging materials everywhere. They raided the storage units in Haywood. Heroin, amphetamines, 7,000 ecstasy tablets, 75,000 pounds in cash, 224 rounds of ammunition. The arrest began. Dylan Robinson was arrested at his home. Police found him with 61,000 pounds in cash, drugs, and the keys to both storage units. Everything they needed to prove he ran the logistics. Anthony Hunt was arrested inside the Moss Bank safe house, right there at the crime scene. His DNA on gloves, his hands literally in the operation. Lisa Prescott was detained. Her DNA evidence tied her directly to the drugs. Graham Sykes and Stanley Ainsley, the couriers, were picked up. One by one, the network was dismantled. Every person Thomas Hunt had used, every person he'd put in harm's way, they were all being arrested. But when officers went to Bonnie Brow Street, to Thomas Hunt's house, to the headquarters of the entire operation. They found something that changed everything. The house was empty. Thomas Hunt was gone. The mastermind had vanished. Police believe Hunt fled before the raids took place. Maybe he received a warning. Maybe he sensed the net closing. Maybe he simply decided the risk had become too great. Whatever the reason, he ran. He abandoned his brother. He abandoned his cousin. He abandoned everyone who had worked for him, everyone who had trusted him, everyone who had put their freedom on the line because they believed he had their back. Anthony was caught at the crime scene. Dylan was arrested with evidence in his hands. And Thomas Hunt was safe somewhere, probably already on a plane to Spain. Manchester Crown Court, December 2024. The evidence against the remaining defendants was overwhelming. DNA, surveillance footage, financial records, phone data, witness testimony. There was no way to fight it. Dylan Robinson pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. Anthony Hunt admitted his involvement. The others pleaded guilty one by one. They knew the evidence was too strong. They knew they were going to prison. They probably hoped Thomas would be caught too, that they'd all go down together, that at least there would be some justice in everyone facing consequences. That's not what happened. The judge delivered the sentences. Dylan Robinson, 12 years and 6 months in prison, for being Thomas Hunt's right-hand man, for trusting his cousin, for believing family meant loyalty. Anthony Hunt, 11 years and 3 months in prison, for being Thomas Hunt's brother, for getting his hands dirty, for taking the risks Thomas refused to take. Graham Sykes, 5 years and 3 months. Stanley Ainsley, 8 years and 7 months. Aiden Hopkins, 3 years and 9 months. Lisa Prescott received a 2-year suspended sentence. Rachel Blackburn Stanley, Anthony's partner, 18 months suspended. Thomas Lockwood, 20 months suspended. Robert Earnshaw, Hunt's daughter's partner, received a community order. Combined, the sentences totaled 44 years and 8 months. And Thomas Hunt, 0 years, 0 months, 0 days. Because he's a fugitive. Because he ran. Because he's a coward. Picture that courtroom moment. Anthony Hunt standing in the dock, hearing his sentence. 11 years. His brother, nowhere to be found. Dylan Robinson beside him. 12 years. His cousin abandoned him. Detective Sergeant Jessica Shields made a statement after the sentencing. She called it a highly structured operation. Drugs shipped across the country on an industrial scale. Everyone motivated purely by greed. But she could only say that about the people they caught. The greediest one. The one who profited most. The one who controlled everything. Still free. Greater Manchester Police issued a public appeal. They released Thomas Hunt's photograph. They called him the mastermind. They made it clear they know exactly what he did. He controlled the organization. He directed his brother and cousin into criminal activity. He profited while everyone else took the risks. And they sent him a direct message. Wherever he's hiding, running will not work forever. It is only a matter of time. We'll catch up with you. Where is Thomas Hunt right now? Most likely, Spain. It's been a haven for British criminals for decades. The Costa del Sol. Some people call it the Costa del Crime. A stretch of coastline where wanted men can live in luxury, while their lawyers fight extradition. Jamie Rothwell, the trafficker who got 43 years, he operated from Spain and Portugal. He proved it was possible to run a British drug empire from an Iberian beach. Thomas Hunt is probably following the same path. Warm weather, nice villa, cold drink, all paid for with money made from human misery. Other destinations are possible. Countries with weak extradition treaties. The Middle East, North Africa, Eastern Europe. With enough money and the right connections, a man can disappear. Hunt has the money. His organization turned over nearly £2 million in 6 months. He had time to hide cash before the raids. Time to establish escape routes. Time to plan for exactly this scenario. The investigation continues. Interpol has been notified. Hunt's details are in international databases. Every border crossing is a potential trap. Every airport, a risk. Every port, a danger. But until he's found, the final chapter of this story remains unwritten. Do you think Thomas Hunt will be caught? Do you think he deserves to spend the rest of his life in prison for what he did to his family? Drop your comments below and share this video so more people see what a coward looks like. Let me tell you about Anthony Hunt's reality right now. He's sitting in a prison cell. He'll be there for the next decade. Missing birthdays, missing Christmases, missing every family moment. His children are growing up with their father in jail. Why? Because he trusted his brother. Because Thomas asked for help. Because he thought family meant loyalty. Rachel Blackburn Stanley, Anthony's partner, has a criminal record now. An 18-month suspended sentence. Her life changed forever because her man trusted his brother. Dylan Robinson will spend 12 and a half years in prison. He'll be in his mid-40s when he's released. The best years of his life gone. Career opportunities destroyed. Relationships damaged. Why? Because he believed in family. Because Thomas was his cousin. Because he thought they were building something together. Even Robert Earnshaw, the partner of Thomas Hunt's daughter, has a criminal record now. A community order. His relationship with Hunt's daughter has been affected by her father's choices. This is the cruelest truth about Thomas Hunt's story. He used his own family as shields. He let them take risks while he collected profits. And when the police came, he abandoned them all. Anthony will miss his children's childhood. Dylan will miss years he can never get back. Lisa Prescott has a criminal record. Rachel has a suspended sentence. Robert has a community order. All because they trusted Thomas Hunt. All because they believed family meant something. And Thomas Hunt is somewhere safe. Looking over his shoulder, yes. Living in paranoia, absolutely. But not in prison. Not facing consequences. Not taking responsibility for the lives he destroyed. This is the reality of organized crime. Loyalty only extends so far. When the pressure increases, it's every man for himself. Blood means nothing when your freedom is on the line. The boss always has an escape plan. The people below always take the fall. This isn't just a story about drugs. It's a story about betrayal at the deepest level. About someone using the people who love them most. About taking advantage of family loyalty. About being willing to destroy others to save yourself. The lesson here goes beyond criminal organizations. In any situation where you're risking everything, watch who you trust with your freedom. Watch who you're willing to sacrifice for. Because when things go wrong, the person at the top often has an escape plan, while the people below pay the price. Thomas Hunt is living in exile right now. But exile isn't freedom. He's checking the news constantly. He's wondering if today is the day his luck runs out. One phone call, one photograph, one piece of bad luck. It could all end in a moment. That's his life now. Not prison, but not freedom either. Just waiting, wondering, looking over his shoulder. But here's what Thomas Hunt doesn't understand. Justice is patient. Greater Manchester Police dismantled the Rothwell organization. £26 million. They secured over 250 years in combined prison sentences. They're not stopping now. Thomas Hunt is the last piece of the puzzle. The fugitive mastermind. The man who thought he was too clever to catch. Anthony Hunt trusted his brother and got 11 years. Dylan Robinson believed in family and got 12 years. Thomas Hunt abandoned them all, and he's still free. But freedom built on betrayal isn't really freedom. It's just waiting for the inevitable. The hunt continues. And somewhere out there, Thomas Hunt knows that every day could be his last as a free man. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss the update when they finally catch Thomas Hunt. Drop your honest thoughts about family betrayal in the comments. And share this video everywhere. People need to see that cowards like Thomas Hunt don't get happy endings. They get prison cells. Eventually, the hunt continues. And somewhere out there, Thomas Hunt is waiting, wondering if today is the day his luck finally runs out.